So the Milky Way, our galaxy, apparently contains between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. And we orbit one of those stars. And we have not proved that there is no life in on any other planet around our star. But yet, the idea of aliens and UFOs in so many people's minds automatically goes to crazy. The idea that there are aliens is thought of by millions and millions of people as automatically crazy. That anybody who claims to see a UFO is insane. Anybody who claims to have been abducted by aliens is definitely crazy, according to this formulation. And the whole idea of insanity somehow has been braided into the whole concept of UFOs and aliens. And to me, that is far crazier than believing in UFOs or aliens. The idea that people automatically go to this idea of that's crazy, to me, is such a small-minded way of looking at the universe. Now, remember, we are not the only galaxy in the universe. In fact, we're one out of, I don't know the number, but I believe there are at least as many galaxies, 100 to 400 billion, in the observable universe as there are stars in our galaxy. So it's kind of fractal that way, I guess. And the observable universe is not necessarily the entire universe. So even if the whole universe was just our galaxy, and there were no more galaxies, and there are 400 billion potential stars, and we exist, and we're fairly advanced, at least in our own minds. I mean, I can make this video, and somebody anywhere in the world could be watching it 1 minute after I post it onto YouTube. So that's pretty amazing. And we're barely getting started. We're only a few hundred years into electricity. So to me, this is mind control. And it's not mind control in the sense only that some conspiracy, some governmental conspiracy has put together a grand plan, although I think that's happened as well, to control our minds. But I think most of the mind control is something that we do. And I always believed in a lot of stuff. Aliens, all kinds of things. And I haven't changed those beliefs very much. And one of the things that's actually strengthened my beliefs in some of these things that people think are crazy is being a past life regression hypnotherapist. Now, if I took people back to past lives, which, I've done a couple thousand times, approximately, and they were all bragging about being, space fleet commanders, if they were mimicking a bunch of Star Trek stuff and sci-fi, and they were always on top of the game in their story. And, there are a lot of scenarios like that where I would be just as skeptical as anybody else, as any muggle on the planet. But the thing is, typically, when people see themselves, and it happens a lot, that people see themselves in past lives as aliens. And I love that. It's so fun. I mean, I get to talk to aliens all the time. And what usually happens is that the client, like, I will direct them in the hypnosis when they're starting to become aware of the body that they're in. We'll look at, are you male or female, old or young, things like that. And, have them look at what clothes are you wearing, and like what color is your skin, or things like that. And what people will do is they will, when they're looking at their skin or their clothing or whatever, they will go into resistance. They'll say, this is crazy. My skin is scaly. It's like reptilian, or it'll have some weird texture that no human skin has, and not really a lot of animal skin has on Earth. And, a lot of times they'll describe what we think of the typical alien, like big head, big eyes, almost no ears, or very small ears. Same with the nose, same with the mouth usually. Usually they communicate telepathically. There are a lot of things. But then there are other ones that are incomprehensible. And there's a huge range. But my point is that most of my clients who see themselves in an alien past life, their first reaction is to not believe it, to resist the information. And that makes me believe them more. I mean, wouldn't you believe it more if somebody told you a story that they were fighting? So, you can tell when somebody's bragging, when their ego stands behind. You can also tell the false modesty of somebody who's acting like they're resisting the information only to make it more believable. And you know what? Whether my clients are seeing real alien past lives or not, I don't even need that to believe that. I mean, the numbers alone would make me believe that there are aliens, and even aliens that could possibly travel here. I mean, with 400 billion stars potentially just in our galaxy, I don't think that we are necessarily the crowning evolutionary achievement of the entire Milky Way galaxy. If we are, good for us, right? But it's a hell of a assumption, right? It's like saying I'm the smartest person in the universe or something. I mean, it's crazy. It's a lot crazier than believing that it's highly likely that UFOs exist and that they visit us. In my mind, it's far crazier to think that that is a crazy idea than that is a possibility. Now, here's the thing about mind control, my title, Mind Control and Aliens, in the ascension process. Like I said, I don't really think it's a total conspiracy, although I think there is a conspiracy. And I think that that conspiracy is coming to light now if you see the recent congressional testimonies and, look it up. But the thing is, we humans, from my point of view, as somebody who believes in past lives and who's taken a couple thousand people into their past lives and looked at the perspectives of those past lives, I get a certain different view than the average person doesn't get. The average person doesn't ever speak to an alien, or even somebody claiming to be an alien who's lying about it. But I get to do it all the time. And the thing is, the same pattern of not believing runs through not only aliens, but also past lives, also psychic abilities, right? Anything paranormal runs the risk of being met with the accusation of crazy. And so, to me, the mind control at the bottom of it is that we are on the precipice of going from a fully 3D material reality where we might be yearning for spiritual things, but we do it through religions and human created structures of belief and thought. And we're on the precipice of going to the place where more and more people, and it's already happening, are having direct experience. Religion is what happens when somebody has a spiritual experience and tries to explain it to other people, and then they die before anybody really gets it, or usually they're killed. And then a bunch of dummies create a bunch of rules and fake stories that do reflect some core universal realities, oftentimes. And then everybody goes around chasing the finger that's pointing at the moon rather than looking at the moon. And to me, that's what religion is. And to me, religion says you don't need spirituality, follow our rules. For you to connect with spirit, well, that's crazy. That's for special people like Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever. It's not for you. You need to just pray and beseech the gods and whatever, but you aren't really a participant. You aren't, who are you to think that you could have a direct connection? Well, the thing is, we are moving into, and very slowly, into more and more direct connection. To me, I think that a lot of what Dolores Cannon wrote about the new Earth is very accurate. At least it's accurate in terms of the energy. Meaning, we are going through an ascension process, and the whole Earth is going through that process simultaneously. And part of the process is not only believing in aliens or UFOs, but connecting directly with spirit in whatever way. Some people have had their breakthroughs through meditation, yogic practices, psychedelics, and sometimes they just come out of nowhere and are not asked for, and oftentimes not very welcome. Some people have spontaneous awakenings and they wish they could just go back to sleep. But they can't, because we're all waking up. So, one thing that's important in this awakening process is to break the mind control that puts certain things into the realm of crazy so that nobody goes there. Now, in the past, like in the days of witch burnings or the Spanish Inquisition, it wasn't mind control as much as fear of torture that kept people in line. Well, now people don't get tortured so much for their spiritual beliefs. They get ridiculed. And ridicule is a very, very powerful tool. You know, in ancient cultures, in small bands of humans that lived in the earth, in prehistoric times and since then, banishment, rejection by the tribe was a scarier punishment than death. We all have an ingrained fear of being banished by the group. Because back in the days of saber-toothed tigers, we relied on the group for our survival. Somebody had to stand watch at night. Somebody had to be ready to wake everybody up to fight off the saber-toothed tigers and all the other predators that were out there. And so there is a core reptilian brain fear around being seen as weird or crazy, unstable, and thereby being banished by the group. Now, let's say World War II has ended, we're in the middle of the Cold War, and there's the Roswell incident. Well, I guess that would have been pretty much the beginning of the Cold War. And first thing that happens after the Roswell incident is it's front page news. You know, we've retrieved an alien craft and alien bodies and whatever. And within less than 24 hours, that got changed to like some guy holding a piece of foil and saying, it was nothing, weather balloon, yeah, whatever. And then fast forward a couple of decades, and what happened was there were a bunch of people in Michigan who were represented by future President Ford, Gerald Ford. And these people in Michigan saw UFOs, and they reported it. And they were treated like they were crazy. And these people complained to their congressman, Gerald Ford. And I don't have all the details of the story, I just know the basic overview. But he started some congressional investigations. And the process began where some UFO information came out. But The number one thing I do not want to do here is create a big us versus them thing with the government and, empowering all the conspiracies and whatnot. We don't need it. There are a lot of people in the government, there are a lot of people involved in the cover-up who want to come out. They just don't want to get punished for it. And it is coming out. But again, I want to tie it to the whole thing. We as a species are slowly moving into a higher realm. It was one thing to move into a realm of fear and superstition and being dominated by religions that had the right to torture or kill you whenever they felt like it. Not that that doesn't still exist on this planet, but it's not as prevalent, at least in the Western world, as it used to be. And so we're coming out of that. And so a lot of people in the Enlightenment, in the scientific revolution, they kind of threw away all spirituality along with religion in favor of science, logic, and the human mind. But they kind of created a closed loop, a closed reality. And they created religious type, faith-based type thinking while claiming to be open to anything and curious. But the thing is, we go from one paradigm to another. We go from a paradigm of control by kings and popes, and then we move into the control by government, science, whatever. And I don't mean control like, oh, all the scientists are controlling, that's not. But we're in a paradigm where we've substituted kings for, in a lot of places at least, not everywhere, democratically elected governments. And that is an upgrade. And we've substituted reason and logic over fear-based superstition and religious dogma. And that's an upgrade. But any true scientist, I think, would at least be open to the idea of these upgrades continuing indefinitely. But nobody really wants their own paradigm to be completely overturned. And if you look at the book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, I believe it's Thomas, Kuhn, it describes how old paradigms are slow to be overturned. That all of the people in power in government, but especially in universities, that they hold on to the paradigm that they have worked within their whole lives. And the paradigm shift only happens after the old paradigm really breaks down. It doesn't happen quickly, and it shouldn't happen quickly. We shouldn't be changing paradigms every 5 minutes. That would be chaos. But maybe we don't need 100 years to change a paradigm, or more than that. The paradigm now is going towards magic. It's not really magic. In a certain way, nothing is really magic if there could be an explanation for it, if there's a system. It's just a system that you're not that familiar with. So the paradigm is changing from a mental-based paradigm to an intuition-based paradigm. Now, think of it as that the mental paradigm is really better than the paradigm of worrying about getting tortured in the Spanish Inquisition. That we can debate ideas without fear of death. Right? But now, when we debate ideas, we are faced with the fear of ridicule, of being ostracized, things like that. And so, this next leap will involve recognizing that we are not alone in terms of aliens, in terms of Earth being the only place where life exists. But it goes beyond that, because as soon as we get to the whole alien thing, we inevitably get to the non-physical realm, the spiritual. Because we've also been stuck in a paradigm of if we even believe in aliens or think about aliens, we think of them in a very materialistic kind of way, in a technological way. Our paradigm is technological advancement. Well, of course it is. I mean, we didn't have electricity, cars, we didn't have most of what we have now in our modern life a few hundred years ago. We didn't have most of it 150 years ago. So, in order to go into the next realm, we have to think beyond the paradigm of technological advancement. The quantum leap above technological advancement is spiritual advancement. But as soon as you say spiritual, you're conjuring up the ghosts of the old religious tyrannies. And that kicks the scientific-minded people into action, because all they hear is like, okay, these people are going backwards. They are going into the irrational, that we saved the world from that with our logic and scientific method. And now they're going backwards. We can't have this. And in many cases, they are correct. Okay, so what is the paradigm then? Well, think of it. If the speed of light is technologically a roadblock, like if we cannot move faster than the speed of light and nothing can, nothing physical can, then what would be the next paradigm? It would be either a completely new understanding of reality where technologically you can move objects faster than the speed of light, Or it would be a reality where bodies, physicality is not primary. It is secondary. Now, I had a stepdad as a kid whose parents came from the Azores Islands of Portugal. And his grandmother was, I mean, we're talking about, she was born in, say, 1850 in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on these remote islands, and then ended up in California. And when they would turn the radio on, she would want to rip the radio apart to look for the man inside of it that was speaking. And when they said, no, the guy's not, there's nobody in the radio, you know, it's coming through radio waves, and they try to explain it to her, and she just say, well, then it's the devil. Diablo, whatever it is in Portugal. Portuguese is probably similar to Diablo. And her daughter would call, my stepdad's aunt would call, and she lived across town. And they'd say, hey, Grandma, you want to talk to so-and-so, your daughter? And she'd put the phone to her ear, she'd hear the voice, and she'd say, where is she? And she'd run around the house, she'd go outside, she'd be looking everywhere. It's like, no, she's home, she's just calling on the phone. And this woman could not get it. Because the thing is, Grandma couldn't get that the voice could be here, but the physical body is not. That was too much for her. Now, if we go forward with that analogy, what would it be if we could project ourselves, our consciousness and everything, without our bodies, faster than the speed of light anywhere in the universe, and even potentially materialize in some kind of form appropriate to where we end up? Maybe form, maybe formless, whatever. But what I'm saying is that there's a whole new paradigm to what that would be. And what I'm saying is the fact that the universe is so huge means that within our current technological paradigm, even imagining for breakthroughs that are almost unimaginable, we're still not going to get there technologically, which means they probably didn't get here only technologically. And if they did get here technologically, they found some way around the whole speed of light barrier. So whoever it was that said, you know, that any technology of the future would appear like magic to us, they were right. And the thing is, there's a lot of smart people acting like that guy's grandma, not understanding how the radio is talking, but there's no little man inside of there. Okay? And some of the smartest people on earth now are acting just as ignorant as that woman, because it's hard to imagine a new paradigm. Some of us were kind of born just knowing it's true, not knowing details, not knowing specific facts necessarily, but just knowing There's no way this is the deal. Just like plenty of people grew up saying this whole Catholic Church thing, or substitute the religion of your choice, doesn't make any sense. Like, I could understand why it made sense to these people a couple thousand years ago or whatever. But, I'm not really believing that this cracker is the body of Christ and this wine is the blood of Christ. And even if it is, I'm not really that into cannibalism. And I don't see it as a big holy thing to eat human flesh or drink human blood. And so something's wrong here, right? And if those people would have spoken up at certain times in history and just said, I'm having my doubts here, they were subject to horrific punishment. Nowadays, the punishment isn't quite as horrific. That's nice. Now the punishment is being laughed at and called crazy, weird, whatever. Oh, he's into that weird shit. And what's funny to me is how many people who've done no research, who have applied no scientific method to these issues themselves, as soon as they hear UFO, past life, alien, whatever, they'll laugh, they'll say it's crazy, it's bullshit, whatever, without any evidence, without any review of the evidence. So we are in an ascension process. I am not trying to convince anybody that doesn't believe in this stuff. Because if I go back to the basics, I believe that we are souls. I believe that as souls, we already know the deal. And as souls, we decided to come here and forget the deal. So some people are here remembering the deal while they are coming out of the forgetfulness. And that's their path. And I believe that's the path of humanity in general. But other people who are also souls, who on a soul level completely know the deal, they're here to maybe not remember the deal while in a physical body. And maybe they have excellent reasons for that. I wouldn't know. Let's assume they do. So the thing is, it always comes back to this. Either you'll find out when this life is over and you leave the body, or they are right and you'll never even know that you were wrong or right. So only we who believe in this crazy shit, like aliens, like past lives, like psychic phenomena, whatever, only we can be proven right. Because if you die and that's it, and nothing survives that, you won't even know that that's the truth. You won't even know that that's what happened to you. And so you will never get the opportunity to be vindicated in your truth. It's so sad. But if I'm right, and people like me, and think that you are primarily a soul, and the soul survives the death of the body and goes on to do other things, then you'll know about it. Then, as so many of my clients, like 95% of them, report, when they go through a past life, they die, they leave the body, they look back, they see the body, and they become who they always were. And very quickly, that body, that lifetime, seems like a dream. It's like waking up from a dream that's really vivid, and 5 minutes later you can barely remember it. That's what people report their lives look like once they've died and left the body. So if that's true, everybody's going to know right at the moment of death or soon thereafter. And if it's false, nobody's ever going to know anything. You're just going to be dead, erased, nothing. There will be no punishment for being wrong, because you won't exist to be punished. So if there's an afterlife, awesome. If there's not, well, nothing I can do about it, and I won't even know that there wasn't. So that feels like a good state to be in. So what I'm saying is, the idea that extraordinary things are crazy, that's a mindset to break out of. And I would urge you to do it, or not. It's really a lifestyle choice. And I'm mainly speaking to the people who are already on my side. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find out more about what I do, please subscribe to this channel and like the video so you'll get more of them. And go to my website, andysway.com. Thank you so much. Bye.